Hello and welcome to my first impression of Tarisland, the cross-platform PC mobile MMORPG. And this is footage you can see here from the second closed beta. And this is my first time playing the game. So how is the game? Well, I have to make something very clear before we are jumping into this. I will mostly talk about gameplay aspects, but we have to talk a little bit about the monetization issues this game has right now. So we will get to that later in the video. But first, let's talk about the gameplay. I think the most obvious one is when you are looking at this game, you are getting a lot of World of Warcraft vibes when it comes to the art style and even some of the characters and abilities and animation. Like if you have played World of Warcraft, you will immediately have a déjà vu in front of you and you will go, wait a minute, is this another World of War? What is going on here? This is weird. Right? It's this uncanny valley of it feels very close to what you're used, but it's still different. It's different, right? It's something else. And it's just a weird feeling. But how does it play? Well, it has some shortcomings because it is a mobile game or cross-platform mobile, right? And you don't really have like tons of abilities to choose from. Everything is pretty clean and the interface is easy to tap, right? But that's not too bad because you're also using a mouse, which is similar to tapping. But that doesn't mean that the game is cutting back on gameplay. Like one of the biggest aspects of this game are dungeons, right? You have your story dungeons, you have your normal dungeons, and you go, okay, they are pretty easy, especially if you have played any MMOs before. You immediately think, yeah, this is not a problem at all. And then you were going into the elite dungeons, and it's just a different planet. You're on a different planet at this point. It feels completely different. It's much more difficult as a healer. I've been playing a healer. You have so much to do, and it's rather like stressful, because there's a lot of stuff going on, and then later on it gets harder and harder. You have the raids and some other different dungeons you can go, and it's just whoa, right? Like the dungeons are really cool. I love the dungeons, but there is a big problem with the dungeons, and we have to talk about that when we are getting to the monetization. The leveling itself is super quick. I love that. I only reached level 30 though, because they made it so that you can only level like 5 levels per day, which is always a little bit weird. But so I reached level 30. I did that maybe in 6 hours or so, and 40 is the max level in the beta, which I think is the official max level. And it's super fast. I think you can reach 40 in like 8 hours. Like leveling is not the goal of this game, which is understandable because a lot of the stuff you are already doing while you are leveling, besides of the story you are following, is already endgame. Like you are already getting up your reputation, you are already doing exploration, you do dungeons, you do raid, you do PvP, you do crafting. Like basically all the stuff you would do in the end game, you already do while you're leveling. So it makes sense to not really push the leveling too far. Yes, there is crafting in the game, and crafting is super duper important because you can only have one crafting proficiency, and the only way to trade with other people is through the auction house. And you need crafting materials and stuff from the other players. So trading is super crucial in this game, and you want to dive into that as quickly as possible. Exploration is pretty cool. It's kind of funny to see, you know, when World of Warcraft came out here in the West, a lot of MMOs started to copy World of Warcraft and wanted to copy as many gameplay elements as possible, right? And you see now the same thing happening with a lot of mobile MMOs or mobile games in general, because there was a game which came out a few years ago which just changed everything. And yes, you guessed right, Genshin Impact. Right? You have now like a lot of elements in this game which immediately remind you of Oh, I think I've seen this in Genshin Impact, right? Like every mobile Asian developer in particular is now trying to copy Genshin Impact as much as possible when it comes to like the exploration mechanics or even like story mechanics and whatnot. And they're doing the same thing here. But the game feels good. There's also a lot of customization on the character, like a lot of items with a lot of stats on it where you really have to make some decisions. You have like a gem system, you have a talent system, pretty big talent system actually. You also have a paragon board if you have ever played Diablo 4. You also have that in the game. So as I said, there is tons of stuff where you have to learn what is good for you and what not. The good thing is you can fix it relatively quickly. It's a few button presses and then you can redo your talents and whatnot. So not really a big deal if you screw it up or if you want to make some changes, but it definitely right now where there aren't any guides out there, you have to think. And it's cool. It's great to be at that stage of an MMO again. So this game sounds pretty good, right? Like PvP, you talked about that. A bit quick, because nobody knows what to do right now, and when 5 people realize what to do, like a battleground can literally end after 4 minutes. It's a bit crazy, but I think they will go longer. PvP seems to be relatively fair because everyone is like getting equalized stats, and then you are getting some extra stats depending on your rank in PvP and whatnot. So there are definitely some "oh, I'm stronger than you" moments, but it's not "oh, I have the ultimate raid gear and you have just some leveling gear. I will crush you, pleb." That's not happening, at least not yet. So PvP is actually also pretty fun. Okay, so great game. I should probably play right now, shouldn't I? Yeah. If the monetization wouldn't exist in this game, and unfortunately it does. Monetization is not as bad, but they have a few things which make it problematic. First things first, like the paragon points, so to speak, right? You need an item for that to generate those points. And yes, you can buy this item in the auction house, and the currency you utilize in the auction house is gold. It's a special currency just for the auction house. And yes, you can buy gold with real money, so you can manipulate the market, which is of course a huge no-go. The good news is that the developers have already announced that, wow, we were not aware that people would have such a big problem with this. This is not what we want, and we will make changes. So that's already good news, and I'm looking forward to that. But in general, there are a few like faster to progress moments. Like one of the things I don't like is, and this brings us back to the auction house, like a lot of stuff you get through the auction house, but most of the equipment in the game is going through the dungeon, right? And dungeons are really cool. Problem is, you can only do 2 endgame dungeons / elite dungeons / raids per day. 2. I don't know who came up with this idea to limit the amount of dungeons I can do per day, but please stop that. Please stop that. Nobody likes that, especially here in the West. That's horrible. Just let us do raids and dungeon as much as we want, right? And the limitations is not great. And as I said, if that is how you get most of your equipment, there's only the other way how you can still get equipment. That's through the auction house. And again, you can buy gold with real money, which gives you an advantage again. And that's not great. That's not great. So I hope they are figuring it out. It seems like they are listening, which is good. But there is one thing I want to mention, and this is the last point for today, and that's the price tag on the monetization. So, unfortunately, you are not really upgrading how your character looks by getting new equipment in the game, and the character always looks the same, more or less. And if you want to change that, you have to buy skins. And you might think, yeah, okay, well, it's a free-to-play game, right? Buying some skins shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, the problem is that the skins cost between 40 and 60 bucks in general. That's not the highest skins. That is the median cost of a skin, 40 to 60 bucks. Even the battle pass, you know, the battle pass, you know, from Fortnite and all the other games out there, cost 30 bucks. 30. Absolutely insane. Like, who came up with those numbers and thought, yeah, this is the average players want to pay for microtransactions? Well, transactions apparently at this point, because they are certainly not micro anymore. And yeah, they have to change the price tag on it. Like, it's not okay. That is far too high. It's crazy. Like, a full price title for one skin, and then the skin doesn't even look too special. Like, even the $40 skin looks like a normal piece of equipment. I just locked behind a paywall. There's no glow, nothing special. It's just like some leather armor. And you go, what? 40 bucks for what? Are you crazy? Like, yeah, no. So, again, I enjoy Tarisland. I really do. It scratches my MMO itch. But they have to figure out the microtransaction, and they have to figure that out quickly. I would definitely take a look at the game again when they made some changes, but right now put it on pause, and I would just wait for the next beta or the release, and then hopefully without weird microtransactions. That would be great. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you liked it, please don't forget to leave a like. If you're new to the Mole RP channel, we are focusing on everything which is RP, like normal RPGs, MMOs, even some survival games. If it fits the bill, you can find that all here on the channel. So I would appreciate if you might consider to subscribe. With that said, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.